If you ever feel busy but not effective, then learn to ask this one simple question. So, have you ever had a day where from the time you woke up to the time you went to bed, you were busy, you were hustling, you were taking action, you were doing stuff, and then you look back and reflected and thought, you know what? I was not effective. I did all these things, but they didn't bring me closer to my goals. And I think we've all suffered through this. We've all made this mistake. I've done this so many times, and I hated the energy and the time that was wasted when it could have been channeled in a more productive way. And then I realized that, most people fail because they focus on the wrong things, right? Whenever you're focused on the sea of distraction, on the sea of noise, you're going to fail. But why do most people focus on that? It's because they ask themselves the wrong question. You see, whatever you're focused on is determined, is controlled by the questions you ask yourself habitually. And most people, myself included, I used to ask myself all the time, what do I need to do? Or what is my to-do list? What should I do today? And those are shitty questions, and here's why. Because when you ask yourself that question, the quality of answer you're going to get is one that is reactive. And it's reactive because you're going to either be chasing the thing that's going to give you the most pleasure, that's the most urgent, or the thing that's going to bring you the most pain that you're trying to avoid. And with that question, you're putting yourself into a reactive state. You're not focused on intelligent, long-term thinking. You're not prioritizing well. You're instead reacting to your environment. So we need to get out of the habit of asking ourselves that question and instead learn to ask a better, more effective question, which is, what are the 20% of variables that'll give me 80% of the result? Because in any given situation, right, if you have a problem or you're trying to achieve something, there are usually 20% of things you will do that'll get you most of the way there. And the reason this is so powerful is because this question forces you to ignore the sea of noise and the sea of distraction. And it forces you to look for those hidden gems, those things that will give you a disproportionate reward, the big wins that will take you the furthest, fastest, so that you don't have to waste time, energy, money, resources, emotions on the little things, the things that don't actually matter, the things that don't move you forward toward your goals. So there are 3 key steps to asking this question effectively. Make sure not to ignore this. Make sure to really pay attention here. 1, you must be very clear on your outcome. What do you want? What is your target? Clearly, measurably, specifically. Because the clearer you are on your outcome, the faster your brain can get you there. Clarity is power. If you don't know what you want, if you don't know your target, you might be working towards something that is not in your goal. You might be climbing up the wrong mountain or climbing up the wrong ladder. Number 2 is list down every single solution that you can possibly think of to solve that problem or achieve that goal. And you want to do that because you want to create an abundance of options. Rarely is the first option, second, third, or fourth option going to be the best one. Usually they're not. In fact, usually it's a combination of a number of options that once you put together will result in the best possible solution. So have an abundance of options. If you don't list every solution you might have, then you're missing out on opportunities. You're missing out on things that might save you time and save you energy. Number 3 is to ask the question. When you're clear on your goal, when you're clear on the options that might get you to that goal, ask yourself, what are the 20% of these solutions that might get me to my result? And be honest with yourself. Highlight only the 20%. And in fact, highlight even less. Because oftentimes, less is more. Less is better. You will often find yourself achieving your goal, solving the problem, with only 5 out of the 20 things that you could do. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 5%, sometimes it's one thing you could do that'll actually get you to the result. Less is more. Let's look at a practical example. If you want to start a podcast, right? You get very clear on your outcome. You list out every option, every solution you might have in order to start the podcast. And then you filter it down to the very few things that actually matter when it comes to starting a podcast. Highlight them and then execute. Very simple. I've done this with my podcast. Initially, I was incredibly overwhelmed because I thought I needed to have this incredible professional camera or this microphone and this script and this audio and a team of editors and an office and all this stuff that would make the standard really high. But it would overwhelm me, would bring too much complexity, which would set me up to lose. So I instead asked myself, what are the 20% that'll give me the 80% of the results? And I got very clear on the very few things I actually needed, the few essentials, versus the thousands of trivial things that I could do. So don't just listen to this video, actually apply it. Think about an area of your life where you could really do a better job prioritizing, where you could really hone in on the few things that matter versus the many, many things that don't. Once you apply that, click the like button, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to check out the Power Questions website to check out hundreds of more ideas and power questions that you can apply right now to take your life to the next level. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you on the next one.